Looking across America, the hills and forests, the suburbs and cityscapes, in towns of every size, there's a word that continues to grow in the American consciousness, a word that means much more than just a color. It's the word green. For years, it's become synonymous with recycling, maybe driving a hybrid or biodiesel car, and caring for our environment by cleaning up our rivers and protecting our forests. Now, like never before, green has hit home and is beginning to make more and more sense to the average homeowner and even the business owner. We invite you to sit back, maybe even take a few mental notes and learn how and why green building and living is taking shape in a region called Southern Oregon. You'll be joining us for part 2 of Oregon Green Homes, Building, Learning, and Living. Most home tours have bright lights and glamour, but today's tour is, you got it, a bit more green. Many will carpool in a school bus from place to place to conserve energy, and everyone will learn lots along the way. On today's Green and Solar Homes tour, we'll see a family's wise choice to have radiant floor heating. We'll hear how one couple invested in solar utilities and benefited by huge energy credits and refunds. We'll stop by a few green businesses and check out some innovative new Green and Energy Star certified products that can help any homeowner. Tour with our host Kim Lewis, an Ashland, Oregon resident and eager learner of green living, and Don McCoy, a real estate professional with a passion for eco-friendly, healthier, and sustainable living.
You know, Don, you're starting to work on me. I'm beginning to think that maybe this efficient energy effort is going to be a payoff, and I'm realizing a wall is more than a wall, and a roof has got some more potential than an average roof.
You bet, Kim, and we're going to meet another proud homeowner of an energy-efficient home.
Hi.
Hi, Rylan. This is Kim.
All right, Kim. Good to
Hey,
meet you.
Rylan. Good to be here.
Welcome to our home.
Thanks.
And Rylan, show us the heart of the energy-saving system in your home.
Well, this is it. This is an ultra-high efficiency hot water heater, and it runs the domestic hot water heat and it runs the heat for the house, which consists of 2 loops. You have thermostats that run the downstairs radiant floor heating loop, so you have potable PEX piping that goes every 6 inches in a big maze throughout underneath the floor, and so the water once it goes through the floor, it comes back into the hot water heater, back available to domestic use. The same for the upstairs. You've got hot water baseboard radiators that also run in a loop and come back to the domestic hot water use again. So basically you get no heat loss. Any hot heat that's generated by the hot water heater is used either for your domestic water or for the radiant heat of the house. Hidden under here are potable PEX pipes every 6 inches in a grid work, and it's on one loop that flushes through when called for heat and then back into the hot water heater with preheating the water. It's a very central location, which makes it so you have really fast response time, both for the floor heat, but also for my domestic use. I'm 10 feet away from my hot water, and so it's really quite, as opposed to having your hot water heater usually out in the garage or some far off place. This allows for kind of a central and more efficient use of space. In the summertime, we flip the valves and we send the cold water through the floor first. So anytime I'm using either the domestic water or I'm using water outside or the irrigation, it's sending cold water through the floor back into the hot water heater, which is preheating the hot water in the summer, but also sucking 10 to 15 degrees of heat out of the floor in the summer. So it's kind of like a free cooling effect just by virtue of using water that you'd be using anyway. And so that's been kind of a nice benefit. We've been able to basically live in this house without true AC, just by virtue of that, a cooled slab, deep eaves for the shade, and then Energy Star fans. Just moving the air, and it's been good.
Well, Rylan, it's an absolutely beautiful home, and it's an Energy Star and Earth Advantage certified home, isn't it?
That's correct.
Did you have a blower door test done on this house?
We did.
And how did it turn out?
I think we doubled the expectations.
Yeah.
More than exceeded
Were the
it.
tax incentives and the rebates what you expected?
Yeah, we've got a good check, both from the city of Ashland, and then Energy Star program gave us an incentive for doing fluorescent lights throughout the house, and that was definitely worth it.
Yeah, I've noticed all of your appliances are Energy Star rated. Your heating system meets Energy Star standards, all of that. And the certification process for Earth Advantage, was that a simple process or exhaustive for you?
It was easy. It was, the staff is very knowledgeable and very helpful, and they have it well set up. So for me, I use it as a resource center. Anytime I had a question or I wanted to find, what was available and what are the best ways to do it, I would just call them up, kind of, like you go to a librarian or something. And so it was really helpful. It was like free knowledge.
Yeah.
Our tour today continues at a couple of Southern Oregon businesses where green and sustainable daily efforts really make a difference.
So Larry, I understand that the city of Ashland even has a green business program.
That's correct. Gorilla Bites is an example of a business we're evaluating now for their practices that might be more sustainable than would be typical in a business.
Wow.
Might include lighting or many other aspects of their operation.
So this isn't potentially a green business just because they sell a lot of salads, is it?
Well, not necessarily, but we really try and evaluate all the impacts of what a business does. And really every business does things differently than other businesses do. So for example, a restaurant, we might take a look at whether or not they're using disposable silverware and bowls, or whether they're using hard silverware or bowls. That certainly has an impact on how much energy they use, the materials that they're consuming. Some of the other things that we might look at in here, for example, is what kind of lighting they're using. So one of the things we might take a look at is how much water they use to rinse their dishes before they put them in a dishwasher. Is it a high volume or a low volume spray rinse valve?
I can do that, yeah.
One of the things that the city does is we provide a low volume spray rinse valve for free. And that both saves them energy and water. We really look at a lot of things at businesses, from the very basic things like whether or not their doors are weather stripped, onto maybe their refrigeration systems or their lighting. So really, again, it depends a lot on what goes on in that specific business. Yeah, we might look at whether or not the toilet that they use in the business is a high volume toilet or a low volume toilet. And the city also has some programs to assist them in paying for replacement of high volume toilets with one that uses less water per flush.
That makes sense. Brr, that's cold.
Yeah, actually, one of the things that we might work with the business on, for example, that has refrigeration, is whether or not they have an automatic door closure. If you'll notice, this one doesn't, and the door stays open if they don't push it. There is a device which they can install which would close that door every time someone came out of it. They are practicing a good measure, though, that you'll see these strips, these door strips that maintain the cold inside the freezer or refrigeration, even when the door is open. So that's a very good practice. One of the things that we might consider is the actual product that they sell and whether that's sustainable. And certainly organically grown foods are more sustainable than non-organic foods. So we'd evaluate that.
Interesting.
The Standing Stone Restaurant is an example of a business that we have in town that's very green and sustainable. They've actually been recognized by the governor's office as one of the most sustainable businesses in Oregon. They have a very sophisticated energy management system that tells them when to turn things on and off. They've got a range hood which senses when they're doing cooking, either by smoke or by heat, and operates at a much higher speed, recovering heat off of their brewing process and delivering that to heat hot water. Just a number of things they're doing in that business that's saving a lot of energy and more sustainable operations.
So Don, I understand there's a passive solar and then there's an active solar, and we're here at the Fisher Smiths to find out just what they're both all about. Hey, John, great to see you.
Hi.
Hi, John.
Hi, Don.
Let's go on in.
Come on in.
John, you've got an absolutely beautiful home here. I understand you had an awful lot to do with it.
Yeah, I'm an architect, Don. I designed it right from the very word go. My wife and I wanted a house down here in Ashland, and friends found this lot. And they found this lot for us because it has great solar access, meaning we're open to the sun on the south. This is the south, and that is north. And the sun comes into the house in the wintertime and in the summertime we keep it out.
And John, as the designer of this home, I recognize that you paid close attention to two types of solar, active and passive. Could you describe that?
Well, the original design was all passive, and that is that these windows on the south side, which get direct sunlight, let sun in during the wintertime and warm the floor. In the summertime, when the sun is high, we keep it out with the overhangs so the sun never gets in the house, it never warms it. Because we want the house to be cool in the summer, warm in the winter. Then later we added the active PV panels on the roof to generate electricity. We added those a year ago.
And I understand that your thermostat is set at 64 degrees consistently in the wintertime.
Absolutely. We set the thermostat at 64 degrees. During the night, when the temperature drops maybe 63, 62 in the living room, it'll kick it on and it'll run until the floor temperature gets warm enough to turn the thermostat off at 64.
But there's some other advantages as well as having this installed in the state of Oregon.
Well, Oregon, you may know, wants to have photovoltaics on 1 million rooftops in order to reduce the state's energy needs by 25%. Well, that's a great program, so we wanted to join the parade. We never could have afforded it, however. It's a new technology without the subsidies that are offered. The state offers a handsome subsidy of $6,000, and it's portable. We are retired. We don't pay state income tax most years. However, we could take that $6,000 tax credit over a period of 4 years and sell it to somebody else. It's called a pass-through. The city also subsidizes us for over $5,000 because Ashland is an electric utility. If we'd been in the county, the state system would have subsidized us in equivalent fashion. The Fed gave us a $2,000 tax credit. For the last 3 months, June, July, August, we broke even. We got as much back in credit from the city as we paid for electricity, so we broke even.
You've heard in a number of different houses today some of the funding sources that have helped people integrate green and solar building into their homes. And some of that funding comes through the Oregon Department of Energy, who is my employer. I work with the renewable energy section. The pass-through is a feature that Oregon has that allows you to pass through your tax credit to somebody else. And because the tax credit is taken over, in the case of residential tax credit, 4 years, the money that your pass-through partner would pay you is essentially the net present value of that tax credit that goes out 4 years.
Next in our tour, we'll travel up into the Siskiyou Mountain foothills of southern Oregon, near Talent. Chris and Bob Hale built a Cobb retreat outbuilding using a method used by Europeans for centuries, and even by American pioneers.
So Conrad, I understand that you're actually the designer of this fascinating house. It's a greenhouse called a cob house, C-O-B with 1 B. Why is it called a cob house?
A cob is an old English word that stands for lump or loaf. And a long time ago in England, when they did cob houses, they would use the material, which is earth, basically, with straw mixed together.
This house here has what structure? What is it around the walls?
The walls, about half the house is made out of cob, and the other half, especially the north side and this side that you see here, is made out of straw bales. On the outside it's a lime plaster, and on the inside it's an earthen plaster.
Very interesting. What's happening on this roof?
This is often referred to as a living roof. Rather than conventional roofing material, you put what's called a pond liner on top. And on top of that, you can basically put anything, dirt, earth, compost. In this case, there's some vermiculite on it. And then plant shallow rooting plants on top of that.
Very interesting. Now, you don't have to mow this roof, do you?
This roof in particular, you don't have to mow the roof. It will last indefinitely, 50, 100, 150 years.
That's amazing. I like it. I'm going to try a roof like that someday.
Okay, good luck. Eh?
Hey, Kim.
I love this place.
This is about as green as it gets, short of living in a cave. It's an up-and-coming green feature in homes.
Right.
And
It's an additional. It's an addition to a home. It's like another space.
in this case, it is.
Right.
There are some communities that are building cob houses, actually cob homes, and they're absolutely unique. They're absolutely beautiful, and they're all made out of the natural elements of the earth.
Huh. So Don, this community here is similar to the kind that my parents live in, and it's been here for about 20 years, and people may be thinking, could I apply solar in a situation like this? And actually they can. This is an example here of a home that very effectively has had a real impact in their energy bills and saving and utilizing solar.
Yeah. Kim, this home was built in 1990, and the owner had built it specifically as a super good sense home. Older technology, air tightness, paying attention to its energy efficiency. It was later that she installed solar hot water by 1995, and then even later than that, by 2005, she installed solar electricity. So retrofitting is very real in the green market.
Excellent.
Hi, Bobo.
Hi, Don.
This is Kim.
Kim, how do you do?
He's interested in solar applications.
Uh-huh.
And Bobo Schultz, Electron Connections,
Right.
You're the contractor and the installation of this solar PV panel.
That's correct. Well, Don, you've already seen the 3 kilowatts worth of solar electric panels on the roof. Let's go and look at the balance of the system over here.
Thank you.
While we like to have the solar panels in full sun, we like to have the power processing equipment, the inverter, in the shade where it runs cool. So this is the inverter. The photovoltaic modules on the roof produce a high voltage DC. This unit, called an inverter, changes the DC power to standard household current, 240 volts AC. It goes out of this inverter and into Edith's main circuit breaker panel, just like everyone else has in their house.
Right.
It's connected on her side of the utility meter. If she turns something on while the sun's shining, she's essentially running it on sunshine. If she's not using all the panels are producing, the power goes out her meter and goes back to the utility and becomes a credit for her to use tonight, tomorrow, next week, next month, whenever she requires it.
So Bob, what's this concept about banking energy credits ahead? This sounds kind of like banker's terms. Does this have to do with savings in the future?
Well, Kim, it's kind of like that. The way it works is if you're producing electricity during the summer and not consuming it all, you get to bank it or have a credit by the utility for any surplus that you've produced. You get to use that credit in the evening, when it's cold, when it's rainy, in the winter, whenever the next time you need power where you're not producing it from your solar panels. That's an Oregon state law. All utilities that do business in Oregon have to comply with what's called the net metering law, where they allow you to do that banking when you have surplus.
It sounds like real power to the people and from the people.
It is.
Oh, it's a beautiful fall day in Southern Oregon. And Edith, we're here at your home that you had built in 1990. And at some point along the way, you made a decision to go solar, and that was pretty progressive. Can you share that with us?
Well, I moved up from California, and today shows two things I thought about Oregon. Oregon has blue skies and has a hot sun. I looked at the south roof of my house and the hot sun beating down and said, all that energy going for nothing. What a waste. And so I started exploring solar, but in 1990 it was way too expensive. And it wasn't until 2 or 3 years ago that the price came down.
Kim's got a question about the cost of installing solar, and I believe you had an experience with solar rebates or tax credits. Could you share that with us?
I think Bobo can tell you more about the rebates and the incentives and things like that, because he handled the paperwork and I said fine.
Great.
Well, Kim, there are a number of tax credits that you can get for putting solar electric system on your home. If you were to do one the size of Edith's, there's a $2,000 federal tax credit that's available to you. And in Oregon, there's a $6,000 Oregon income tax credit. That's also available. And these are tax credits. These aren't deductions, so they're real bottom line money. The City of Ashland also has their own incentive program, which is sort of a buy-down program right up front for this. In Edith's case, it was almost $7,000. For most of the rest of Oregon, which uses a different program, it would be about $6,000. So if you add all those things up, for a system the size of Edith's, that's about $14,000.
Are there other areas in Southern Oregon that are taking advantage of these incentives in solar application?
Oh, you bet, Kim. It's not just Ashland. Phoenix, Talent, Medford, Central Point, Shady Cove, pretty much anywhere within Pacific Power territory also gets an incentive. And of course, the tax credits are both state and federal, so they're everywhere.
So Kathy, I worked with you in the early 80s when you were part of this weatherization program in Ashland. You're still part of that.
Right.
And my wife said, we have drafty windows and there's this program and we should get in touch with the city. And you actually came out. The house was much like this house. It had old-fashioned windows that you raise up and raise down, and single panes, and the house was chilly inside. We had a wood stove back in those wood stove days.
Right.
And what did you do to help us out?
Well, I did an energy audit. I think probably I measured the house. I looked up in the attic, looked at the insulation level, looked under the floor and in the walls, looked at the windows. Just basically made an energy assessment to see how you were using energy and to see if there was anything that could be done to the house to make it more energy efficient. And then we figured out how much energy you'd save by doing that, and we gave you a rebate for that.
All I know is by the time you got done with our home, we had storm windows and we had a tighter, drier, warmer house.
Right.
And that made my wife and my young kids happy.
That's good. Lower utility bills,
Yep,
more
and
comfort, right. And the whole idea is not only to save the owner energy and money, obviously, but to save the utility money. The city buys power from Bonneville Power Administration, and conservation is like the least cost resource.
Sure.
It would be really hard in these days to go out and find new generating sources, so we really encourage people to conserve energy, and that's why our programs are there.
Great. So Debbie, in Pioneer, Oregon, we would probably be heating from a fireplace, much like this. Only as nice as this looks, it's really natural gas fireplace. And I know that I'm feeling some heat here, but it's not necessarily an efficient heat. What are some more green and efficient sources of natural gas?
Well, what we have, it's a great ambiance. It really does. It feels warm and comfortable, and they're very popular today. What we want to look for is the more energy efficient type of units, whether it be the fireplace inserts, whether it be the furnaces that heat the entire home. And bottom line is we want to have more efficiency so the customers have lower bills.
Debbie, Avista Natural Gas has some kind of incentives and tax rebates and things like that.
Yes, there definitely are incentives available to our customers, to our contractors, and through Avista it's in the form of a rebate. It's a very simple rebate. It's for energy efficient equipment, whether it be heating systems, water heating from tank to tankless, to thermostats, and also the direct vent space heaters.
So I understand, Debbie, what's happening is Avista is going green. Does that mean that contractors themselves are actually cooperating with this?
You know, it really is amazing how cooperative they have been. Our entire community has come together for the common goal that affects us all in this world. It is really amazing how we've developed these long-term relationships with different entities such as the builders, the heating and air conditioning contractors. They've all come together. They're learning about sustainability on energy efficient homes and how it affects us now and in the future. And of course, that's for us and our grandchildren.
Excellent.
You know what is really nice too is that the utilities and the Oregon Department of Energy, the Federal Department of Energy are offering incentives to help transform the market to make our homes more energy efficient, and they're offering incentives to do that.
That is cool. They're all working together.
They're all working together, yes.
Huh. So Don, this gentleman must be into green because his shirt's even green. And it says Renai there.
That's right. I'm with Renai America. We manufacture the tankless on-demand water heating systems. And
tankless on-demand water heating systems. We got to say that slow because it sounds like something that I've never heard of. What is a tankless water heating systems.
These are whole house water heating systems designed to operate from one location and take care of the whole house. The benefit is that you don't have a tank of water sitting around being reheated throughout the course of the day when you're not home.
True.
So do they run by gas?
Yes, they are fired by gas and they do require electricity to operate.
Excellent.
Basically, it's a computer system that applies just enough BTUs to the load to handle how much water you want. And then when you stop asking for hot water, it goes to sleep and quietly waits on the wall for you to want hot water.
And it really reacts that fast so your hot water's there.
Absolutely.
How is it considered a green product?
Well, green encompasses a lot of things these days, and the word is definitely showing up in every newspaper and every headline. We kind of look at the word green in the terms of get real energy efficient now. And this is something that people can do now to have a dramatic effect on the amount of energy that they're consuming and on the amount of water that they're consuming in their household.
Get real energy efficient now.
And they can do that with the Rinnai tankless water heating system.
I love that.
Makes sense.
Kim, I was showing a home the other day, a brand new home. The lady walked in and she instantly knew she couldn't live there. She smelled that new house smell, and that's called off-gassing. That's volatile organic compounds, VOCs, that some people are susceptible to. The green building movement is providing alternatives with these products. Paints, glues that are in the carpet and the cabinets have 0 to little off-gassing. Kim, the Eco-Broker certification for real estate agents allows them to be certified in identifying the green built features in homes for contractors and homeowners. Greg, Valerie, you're the former owners of the Ashland Greenhouses, and you've sold that business, but now the property, the nearly 12 acres that you have, is going to be turned into a sustainable development for residential housing. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, our goal when this project is all done, which is going to be about 50 units of assorted sizes of homes, is that we can show that you can build energy efficient, healthy, sustainably built homes in an economic manner. So that our hope is that this will change the way developments are done in the future.
We want to build a development that is a model for the state of Oregon, that can be for the future, that like-minded people use a light touch on our earth.
So this is your outline plan of the project itself, and I noticed that the homes all seem to be situated in a specific way. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, they're all facing south for maximum passive solar. Here we have our cottage community. These are our smaller homes. It's a walking community, 1,200 to 900 square foot homes. These are the larger homes with the garages, and they're 12 to 2,200 square feet. And this will be our affordable housing complex.
We hope your tour with host Kim Lewis of Ashland, Oregon, a student of green living, and Don McCoy, our eco-broker and authority for Southern Oregon, has inspired you to catch the green vision. For more information or to order a DVD of this program, call 773-8200 or contact us online at OregonGreenHomes.net or by visiting any of these green building supportive sponsors.